Welcome to Scoop World Order. We got a double dose. We got the bank coming in hot. A lot of hot takes on KJ Bolden. Bank has got the inside scoop on what really went down. What could Ohio State done anything better? I don't know. I don't think so. The landscape is changing, folks, and we've got the inside scoop on what is going on. But first, as always, we appreciate you guys. Very thankful and grateful for you guys tuning in. We are cranking it out tonight a little bit, so we appreciate you guys tuning in. If you enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, and also click that little dinner bell. Gonna bring in my man, the best golfer on the Scoop Squad, Bill the Bank Greene, NIL expert, soon to be wrecked by Drew Rosenhaus because that is the kind of talent that he is. KJ Bolden went to Florida State. I'm sure Kirby Smart is screaming at his guys. I'm sure Ryan Day is screaming at his guys. Were you shocked? I wasn't shocked. I know Florida State is starting to pony up and get some of these guys in there. What was your take on the whole KJ Bolden recruitment, especially the very end at the finish when he ended up as a Seminole?
Yeah, I never really knew where it was going. I talked to KJ last February in Florida. He didn't even know I was a reporter, and I wasn't at this 7-on-7 as a reporter per se. I wasn't looking to interview him. A bunch of guys were standing around talking to him, and I just got involved in the conversation. And about halfway through, I had to tell him, look, I am a reporter here. And he said, please, this is all off the record. I said, I will never do that. And I never would. But I can say it was very pro Ohio State. But this is back in February. That's a long time ago in recruiting. And then as we saw it came down, you had Auburn in the picture. Florida State seemed like a team that came out of nowhere, but that's not true. Florida State is his team. That's who he's rooted for all his life, and his dad. They've been there a million times going back to when he was a freshman. So this was a surprise, but it shouldn't have been. Georgia obviously was, in it, I guess. Ohio State was, tried to be in it. There's a family relationship with Perry Iliano. They're related, second, third cousins or something. But I think in the end, man, Florida State, what I was told is number one, Florida State offered the most money. And we see that 2 to 2.5 million figure being floated out there. I was told that that's probably close to being true, which seemed outrageous to me, but that's based over 4 years. He's probably not going to be there 4 years, so it won't end up being that much money. But they paid the most money. He will be coached by Pat Surtain Sr. So if you're a DB, who would you rather be coached by? I want to be coached by that guy. It's Florida State. They're good. They are not Vanderbilt. They are not Texas Tech. They won 10 games last year. They're going to be better this year. They're back. I mean, it's a dominant program. It's a great place to play. If people have ever been there before, man, it's nice. So he gets coached by a great coach. He gets the most amount of money, plays for a great team. What not to like? I mean, that one makes a lot of sense to me when you boil it down. Where the Dylan Stewart one just seems, that one, I don't know, But KJ Bolden makes a lot of sense to me. You're going to get developed by Patrick Surtain for sure. So that one makes a lot of sense. I get it. I don't think that's an off-the-wall, out-of-left field school choice for him.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, Pat Surtain's a guy who's a Pro Bowler. His son is maybe the best corner in the NFL at this point. Yeah. So, he obviously knows what he's doing. Again, if it's your boyhood school, like I was talking to you in pre-show that they were Bama in the mid-'90s. They were the terror. They whooped Ohio State in that bowl game. They were nobody wanted to see Florida State. Then they came back. They won that national championship with Jimbo and Jameis. They kind of dipped a little bit since then. Yeah. Jimbo took off, but in the NIL world, man, when you got people that are hungry, like when you've got some people that have some money and they're hungry and they want us to get back to prominence and being they want to get back to being the old Florida State where they just whooped everybody. This is a shot across the bow. I think the KJ Bolden thing is something that got to take notice of. You start stacking a couple of those guys into your class, and all of a sudden that roster looks a whole lot better. And he's a guy that can start right away there. I mean, he's a really good player.
No doubt. I mean, I watched him in that 7-on-7 in Florida. He was the best cover person there. And there was some big time. JoJo Trader was there. There were some big time corners there. KJ was the best man-to-man cover guy there. And you can put him in you can put him wherever you want to put him. Do what you want with it. You can take a receiver and man up on him and lock him up. Or you could put him I could see him like in Knowles' scheme, playing man, being fine. Or I could see him in the Halfley scheme, put him in the deep middle, in that single high. When he's
Mm-hmm.
back there, he's going to cover a ton of ground. He's going to take a lot away from you back there. He's going to take the ball away from you back there too. So he's a great player. I think Ohio State fired their shot and, came up short. But, when you recruit these kind of guys, man, a lot of schools came up short. Only one wins the guy.
Yeah.
Georgia's probably been recruiting this kid since he was in the 8th grade from not too many miles away. They have back-to-back national championships. They put all their kids in the NFL. They didn't get him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So when you're going to go after these kind of kids, the hit rate is not going to be as high as when you go after some Ohio 3-stars. You're going to get those. So it's just different. When you chase these kind of kids, man, it's, everybody in the country wants them.
Yeah, talk a little bit about like when the stakes are high, because right now Larry Johnson's catching a lot of heat over Dylan Stewart. Perry Eliano's catching a lot of over KJ Bolden. Is there a scale that you go by when guys go after these national guys that are from Georgia or they're from DC or they're from Florida and then they lose, because then all of a sudden fan base goes crazy. Everybody wants everybody fired. Clean house, fire hose the whole defensive staff. They're old. They don't know how to work Twitter. They don't know how to DM. They don't know how to text, whatever. But like, I just think that when you're going after these guys, man, these guys are hard to get. I mean, you could be the lead racehorse for 90% of the race, but then some school comes flying with a bag of money and you don't have that kind of money. You lose. I mean, you've wasted hundreds of hours of your life getting to know this kid, hosting him, a lot of money on these official visits. Like, how do you grade guys like Larry Johnson and guys like Perry Eliano when they miss on these guys that are way harder to get than the guys that are the local guys? Because we got a lot of local kids that are committed and, I could get, my German Shepherd could recruit some of those kids,
Right. I mean, you've coached before. I mean, would you want your reputation based on going after the Armstrong twins or KJ Bolden? You know what I mean? It's just this different scale there, man. I mean, we're not, we're not talking the same thing. I mean, so when I see, people are very happy with Justin Fry, but I don't know who on that staff couldn't have recruited the equivalent of the Armstrong twins and Mark Nave. Ohio kids dying to be Buckeyes versus KJ Bolden with, hundreds of thousands of NIL dollars being thrown at him. And, you're not battling Purdue and Iowa for KJ. You're battling Georgia and Florida State and Auburn. Bama wanted him. Bama didn't even, Bama's not even a blip on his radar. So, there's different tiers. Heck yes, there's different tiers. And, should Eliano take some heat? Maybe, I guess. But, should Larry Johnson be taking heat right now? I mean, I think Larry Johnson wishes he had the same radar that Justin Fry had. Let Larry Johnson go after Ted Hammond, Dominic Kirk, and Brian Robinson. I think his success rate would be pretty high. Those kids are all rated higher than the Armstrongs and Mark Nave. But Larry didn't get to go after those guys. He's got to go after, Pickett and Dylan Stewart and Edric Houston. Courses are different. You know what I mean? If your job was on the line, would you rather be recruiting the Ohio 3-stars, or do you want to compete against Bama, Georgia, Florida State, Auburn? I mean, it's just, it's common sense. Of course it was easier to go get the Ohio kids.
Yeah, like it's like we talk about getting that purchase order, like selling it at Walmart or Target versus the local gas station. Right. Like it's a lot easier. That local gas station loves Ohio State. You walk in, you hand them the thing. Hey, great to meet you. Great, I'll order 50 bags of your chips. And Walmart, 10 million bags of your chips. It's like, it's different. And like I know that if you're Ryan Day and you're in his shoes, how much does NIL and is that an excuse? Is it something that we can't fight? Is it something that, because, like with Mark Fletcher, when Tony Alford was in the hot water last year, we lost Mark Fletcher at the buzzer. Obviously we know what happened with Miami. They offered him a bunch of money. He went there, second, third round money. You had all the intel on that.
He did the right thing. Mark
Yeah.
Fletcher did the absolute right thing. And Mark Fletcher is now being represented by Drew Rosenhaus. So
Exactly.
Mark's going to get every penny of that money. He's going to
Oh,
get
yeah.
every penny, or Drew Rosenhaus is going to skewer the U from here to, China. So it's not like when mom negotiates the NIL deal and she gets 10 grand to get the lights turned back on in the house. Them days are over, man. There's a new level of NIL now with representation, big time representation. So this money, Mark Fletcher will get every penny he was promised by the U, and it was big money. Yeah. I mean, running backs, look what's going on now. Dalvin Cook and Zeke Elliott. Man, when you get a chance to make money as a running back, you better take it. It.
Absolutely. I mean, Saquon said he's gonna sit out the year, and all of a sudden, man, he came running back to that money.
Yeah.
Whoops. I had an epiphany. Yeah. I better make this money while I can, because Le'Veon Bell sat out a year, and then his career was over a year later. Then he was an also-ran journeyman out of the league.
Right, and they're not blinking. When Saquon says he's going to sit out a year, they're like, we're good. See you in a year. See you in a year. Pat Mahomes threatens to sit out a year. They bring the money. They bring the barrel. So Mark Fletcher did the right thing, and Tony Alford, I think, got a lot of undue criticism for Mark Fletcher. And once I kind of got the inside of what actually happened, Mark Fletcher did the right thing. Absolute right thing for the money he got and the money he will get. So it's a different game right now, man. I mean, it's just a different game. And, we're still talking about Ohio State. We're not talking about Vandy, you know what I mean, or Iowa State, where Matt Campbell probably has to fill out a requisition request to get pencils. You know what I mean? It's Ohio State. They should have more money, I think, at their disposal. Florida State should not be able to come up with more money than Ohio State.
Absolutely, totally agree.
Why are they looking to get out of the ACC right now? There's a reason. And Ohio State's at the top of the chain.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of fan interest, and then you've got the city of Columbus behind you.
Insane.
Tuscaloosa. Columbus. They should be doing better than what they are. Yeah. I feel Ohio State should be at the top of the chain in terms of money raised for NIL. Who should have more than them?
Nobody.
I can't think of anyone.
Now, my question to you is, if you're Ryan Day, imagine you got the Ryan Day hat on. How do you grade your coaches when Tony loses Mark Fletcher, and we know why he lost him, because Mark Fletcher made $1 million, whatever he made is over $1 million over 3 years. Play a lot this year.
Over $1 million.
Now, do you grade that as a pure loss? Do you grade that as an asterisk because, they came in with the bag? How do you do it with Eliano? How do you do it with Larry? Because again, do you have to discover that in the fact finding, where it's like, oh shoot, this thing's going to go NIL heavy. He doesn't care about development. His dad has got the dollar signs, and they got Rosenhaus flying up on the private jet. And this is about to turn into the St. Valentine's Day massacre when he shows up with our NIL people. But I'm curious because I think it's really hard because like Justin Fry, when we missed on Samson Okunloa last year, and he goes to the U, who stunk last year, who got blown out by Duke at home last year, and he was the number one tackle in the country, and he goes to the U because he got the bag. And people were upset about that, and why can't we land a tackle? I'm just curious because, I don't know how to evaluate the current state of recruiting because, you could say, in the olden days before, the bag, there's always the bag man got him or whatever. But now the bag man literally gets them. They literally can sign a contract where they get the bag.
It's legal. So raise more money and be the leader.
There we go.
The funny thing is, what I'm kind of learned this weekend, the funny thing that people are laughing about in the collectives are when you have an assistant coach going to the collective saying, up the ante, I need to get this guy. I'm going to get fired if I don't get this tackle. Man, up the ante for him. I need this. That's what they say, assistant coaches across the country are fighting with their collectives. My guy needs the money. Well, we already had the linebacker coach in here yesterday telling us he needs them. It's really really something that we've never seen before, unless maybe some of the SEC schools, they used to fight with the bagmen that, my guy needs it more than the safety coach needs it. But that's going on right now. Assistant coaches are in trouble. And like you said, how do you judge them? Well, they're getting fired for their
Yeah.
recruiting ability. So they're in begging these collectives, please up the ante to the safety I want. It's crazy. It's just a new ball game, Kirk. It's just,
Yeah.
and
That's the thing is like
2009 anymore. It's not 2005 anymore. This is a new era. It's the NFLization of college football. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Washington's not coming to the Big Ten because they want to spend winters in the Midwest.
In Ann Arbor. Yeah.
They're coming for money. You know what I mean? These coaches don't switch jobs like we switch underwear. They do it for money. So why shouldn't the kids, they're not dumb.
No.
The money's available. Why? They're after it and they're getting it now. And we're never going back. We're not going back to your era.
No.
It's over. I mean, the genie's out of the bottle right now, and you're not putting it back in. This is where we're headed. And I think college football is headed to, AFC, Big Ten, and NFC, SEC. Two conferences are all you're going to need.
Yeah.
2 divisions in each conference with maybe 16 teams or 14 teams per conference, per division, I mean. So you end up with 28 Big Ten teams, 28 SEC teams, no more Vandy's, no more Rutgers. You just got cream. And it's like an NFL where you don't have to go. You lose 1 game or 2 games and you're out. We won't have that. So I think it almost makes a better game if they go to that, because you don't have Ohio State playing Akron, Vandy, Western Kentucky, YSU, Dublin, Kaufman. You don't have that. You have power games week after week after week like we have in the NFL. And, if you can go 8-4, 9-3, you'll make the playoffs.
Yep.
But I think we're headed to the NFL. We're in the NFL model now. That's where we're headed. The Pac-10's demolished.
Yeah.
The Big 12 hanging by an inch. ACC hanging by an inch. We're going to end up at the Big 10 and the SEC. They're going to be AFC, NFC. Each Big 10 and SEC will each get around 32 teams probably. And there you go. There you go. It'll be great.
I think it'll be great too, because I love the thought of Oregon having to come play at Indiana and have to come play at Purdue and come play USC would never play at Indiana in a million years. But now they have to. That's part of the new Big Ten. So it's if I'm those fans, if I'm these athletic directors and I get to sell tickets, them tickets are skyrocketing because we're kicking off Youngstown State and Western Kentucky and Florida A&M, and those guys can go to 1AA, whatever. Because
traditional college football Saturday that we love, you just pick the 3rd week of September. There's how many games are there? 60 games in college football. How many of them are big matchups that you have to see? 3?
2, 3.
Yeah, right. Well, it's not going to be that way now. It won't be that way now. No. There'll be matchups all across the board. I mean, there'll be great game after great game on every channel you look. Yeah. So we're going to eliminate the garbage games, and we're going to eliminate Rutgers, Vandy, Texas Tech. You're not going to have any trash. It's going to be NFL. NFLization of football. It's what's coming.
I'm going to love that because honestly, it's easy to get up for these big games. Yeah, I do too.
I'd rather watch big games from noon to midnight than a bunch of slug games.
Oh, God.
And you're waiting for that 4 o'clock matchup. You get one good game out of all day. You watch football for 12 hours, you get one good game. Yeah, so, it's where we're headed, I think. I could be wrong, but I don't think we're going back to the 2 teams in the playoffs and we vote who they get. I think those days are over.
No, you're on the trail, man. You're the bloodhound on that one because I think it's a wrap. It's over. I think we're going to get Florida State and Clemson into the Big Ten, and I'm going to throw a party because my wife went to Florida State, so that'll be the greatest thing ever. Yeah. But so where do we go next? We lose Dillon. We lose our safety. Zaquan Patterson, Coy Beasley, Booker Pickett. I know that it's the plan Bs. We're down to that plan B, but it's like a fantasy football draft. Once Saquon's off the board, it's time to go get those tier 2 guys. But
there's still a couple plums that they're in on. Brandon Baker, the O lineman, who I think they're going to get. I really think they're getting him. That's in pencil, not in pen, but I think they're going to get him, and they need him. He
Oh yeah.
determines he determines how we view the O-line haul when we get to February and we break down each position group. That O-line group, as it stands right now, with Brandon Baker, pretty darn good haul. Without Brandon Baker, not good enough. And then you got the D-line. Justin Scott, a monster. Love him. He's out there on an island, you know what I mean? You needed Dylan Stewart. Didn't get him. Now you got to get Edric Houston. Edric Houston and Justin Scott in your D-line class, then it could be, put whoever you want in there, the other two guys. Get whoever you want. Get two projects. If you got those two guys, you got a nice haul. Now, if it's Justin Scott and three iffy guys, not so good. So Houston and Baker determine how we're going to view D-line with Larry Johnson, O-line with Justin Fry. I think those guys are that important. I think they're difference makers, and they swing the balance to how strong your position group was. I really feel that way about those two dudes. And Ohio State, I've got them getting Baker, and most people that I respect across the industry have them getting Edric Houston. I don't have that. No, I've never really I don't feel great information on Edric Houston. The people I trust, I think, are getting great information, and they think it's coming to Ohio State. So pop those two dudes, and people should be really happy if you get those two.
Is it harder now? What has changed? I know NIL is the number one thing that's changed to get the information, because Steve Whitfong, he missed on KJ Bolden. I mean, he has crystal ball to Georgia. He missed on Lightfoot. I mean, it's that these guys have 97% accuracy because they changed.
They missed on Dylan Stewart too. I mean, just because you're switching your crystal ball pick 10 minutes before the kid announces because your company has the goods, that's not winning. It looks good on your total, but come on, you didn't get that right.
Yeah.
And, I sure didn't get it right. I had Ohio State get Dylan Stewart, and when I saw all the crystal balls coming in, I knew it was over. But it's not like I switched my pick, So it's tougher now, man. Kids are good at this. This year has been the hardest year I've ever seen. I've been doing this over 20 years. This is the hardest year I've ever seen in terms of trying to get this stuff right. You know what I mean? Brandon Baker right now is the top O lineman in America, in my opinion. I don't think there's a crystal ball pick in for him, which is outrageous. Outrageous. Nobody knows. Nobody's willing to make a pick either. You know what I mean? So that's crazy. That we're almost the season's his senior year is almost about to start. He's the number one O lineman in America, and nobody has a clue.
Do you think that the reason kids have changed is just to drive up the value of their NIL deals, so that it's not he's locked in? He's not Miles Lockhart. Miles Lockhart was like me. He went one visit, no drama, and the sad thing is nobody cared. Nobody cared when that kid, because he's from Arizona, 3-star or whatever. Yeah. But when these kids are like, oh, I'm going to go visit Auburn again. I'm going to go visit Florida State again. Oh, JJ might as well buy a house in Tallahassee. He's been there so many times, and Gainesville so many times.
Gainesville
it's
too. Yeah, Gainesville too.
Oh, he should have a house in both. I mean, he spent so much time there, so it's
he may. He may have a house.
He might already have a house there, but it's is that what it is? Is it harder for the guys like Steve Whitfong and Chad Simmons and these national guys to get a beat on it, because the agents are in more control now. They're negotiating.
If Drew Rosenhaus is representing you, it's not getting leaked. It's not getting leaked. There'll be no leak, and he's going to coach that kid, because we're going to negotiate right up to the last hour.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I don't know that, could someone come in and steal Dylan Stewart? I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Why not? He hasn't signed anything yet. He just verbally committed. Yeah. So, I think that could be a part of it, is the representation these kids are getting now is NFL, just as good as what an NFL guy gets. So, and I think these agents are smart. They're representing these kids. They're not taking any money. There's no cut involved. But obviously they're hoping they get them as clients, and when they become big time. So it's almost like volunteer charity work that they're doing, but it's not like their hearts are all that pure.
Oh God, no! Those guys, there's nothing volunteer about Drew Rosa and like David Mugliata and athletes first. I mean, he had CJ Stroud at a suite at the Super Bowl at SoFi Stadium. I mean, that's the new game. That's the biggest thing that's changed from the olden days to the new days. Is now these agents, man, when they opened up Pandora's box and they said, "Oh, NIL and all this pure," it's like these agents thought, "Oh, we're also marketing companies, and these guys all need marketing representatives." And it's like, if I'm one of these kids, I'm like, well, I might as well hire Drew Rosenhaus because he's negotiated, $10 billion worth of deals across the NFL. And these guys go to athletes first. They go to CAA. I mean, these are the most powerful agencies in the entire world. They represent the biggest athletes in the world. And now they represent 18-year-olds so that mama doesn't have to worry about the lights getting cut out no more. And then they say, oh, hey, mama, sign this for $5,000. And they're like, you mean 500 grand is more like it.
Zeros. Yeah. And when Drew Rosenhaus, is representing some top high school kid for free right now, he is. The kid's not paying him. There's no commission fee this is all gratis. Yeah. But Drew's laying the groundwork for later. And when Drew lands, $500,000 in NIL for some kid, where do you think that kid's going to sign when it's NFL time? I mean, it's a no-brainer. So it's a different game. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to stress to people. And you either play or you don't. I mean, and I don't think you have a choice but to play. You have to play. Yeah. And Ohio State should be the leader. Ohio State should be able to raise way more money than Auburn, Florida State. Have you ever been to these places and seen these universities? They're not Ohio State. Fandom, not even close to Ohio State. And Ohio State has Columbus. Okay?
Yeah.
You can't compare, the earning power in Columbus to Tuscaloosa. Tuscaloosa's a
dump.
Or South Bend. South Bend. Yeah. There's no comparison. Ohio State should be the leader. The leader.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree. And if you're in your Rosehouse, these kids, I say, hey, Bill, remember when I took you as an 18-year-old and I said I was going to get you $2 million and I got you every penny of it and we did your taxes right and everything's all good and look how much you have in your bank account still. And now it's time to go negotiate with these NFL GMs that have real money. Don't you think you want me when I got you all that money? I did it for free. It's the greatest. I mean, I think it's genius because you get in with these kids when they don't have a nickel and all of a sudden you get them all their money. You're a hard negotiator. These kids aren't selling for peanuts or dollars and again, the best part about negotiating is the ability to walk away. Cause you can say, well, yeah, those guys, hey, Brandon Ennis, that guy's offering you 25 grand. We're holding out for 100. And guess what? He got the 100, oh, well, that 25 is a lot. Mama says that's a lot or whatever. It's you need that bad guy. You need that Rosenhaus or that agent that can really do it the right way. Because then you'll be like,
legal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a
of
totally
course.
Different. So I just think that Ohio State should be the leader in this. I still think you have to be very intelligent in how you disperse your money to not kill your culture. But maybe I'm wrong on that. You know what I mean? Maybe we don't care about the AIOs, or AYOs. I mean, maybe we don't worry about them. Where are they going to go? But we take care of the stars, which is what they do in the NFL. Are they worried about culture in the NFL and Pat Mahomes?
No.
It's just life, man. It's life. So maybe that is, I've always felt that way, that you just don't want to kill your locker room culture. And maybe that is just archaic thinking on my part. I could be wrong.
When I was in the NFL and Brian Urlacher's making $12 million and I'm making $250 grand, I was happy to make $250 grand. I was like, this is the greatest thing in the world. It's 2008. I mean, everyone's in a recession. And I was like, this is more money than anyone in my family's ever made. This is great. But I wasn't over there counting Brian Urlacher's money, but he also said, hey, Kirk, let me write you a check to even us out a little bit. Yeah. So, because the way I look at it is if you're good and you're marketable and you say you're Marvin Harrison and you're with Athletes First or CAA, and you're the nicest kid in the world, you're the best player in the country, great smile. He's crushed it on NIL, national deals, local deals. So why does he doesn't even need money from a collective for what? He's got money from Toyota or Ford or PlayStation or whatever. I mean, these guys if their agents are worth anything, then they should be bringing in deals left and right for the guys that are marketable, the quarterbacks, Marvin and Mecca, Trey Henderson. So, again, it's like the thing that's gone is parity. Like, not everybody gets to be poor anymore because now there's guys that have real money and nice cars and stuff, but that's just the free market, and that's what everybody wanted.
I think people will accept this going forward. The players are going to accept it because that's the way it is in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how it is.
He doesn't get paid what Jalen Hurts is about to get paid. You know what I mean?
No.
It work that way. And the guy that's the 10th guy on the Lakers, he doesn't make, what LeBron makes.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis just signed for what, $60 million a year? Well, that 12 guys ain't making that. I'm sorry. So that's where I think we're headed in college, to where it won't destroy your locker room because your AYOs, all you others they understand the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Trey LaRue knows he's not going to get paid the way Marvin Harrison is. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, they gotta get their degree, man. I'm telling you, like I was one of those guys where I wouldn't have gotten what Ted Ginn would have gotten, or Troy. If this is 06 and we reversed into NIL machine back then, I would have known my worth. I mean, I would have probably gotten 25 grand, maybe 50 grand if I'd have gone out and talked to people, because I know how to sell and talk about what the university's done, and people love that. And I know a lot of really wealthy guys that they don't even get hit up by these players. And I'm like, that's crazy, because there's all these guys that want to help these guys and nobody talks to them. And I'm like, what are they doing? Yeah.
That's where your leadership, your collective has to.
Oh my God.
They gotta be sharp, man. They have to be just as sharp as what Ryan Day has to be, or Jim Knowles has to be. I mean, you need the best of the best of the best in every position in your organization, whether we're talking about, a tight end or Mark Pantoni or Ryan Day or the collective or whatever. You need to be the best of the best of the best. Winning is hard, right? Winning national championship.
Oh, yeah.
Ohio State is one of the more elite programs in college football. Nobody can argue that. I don't care if you're a Michigan fan. I don't care who you root for. Ohio State is elite. They got 3 championships in 50 years. They don't have 23. 3.
Yeah.
It's hard. Winning is hard. You have to have elite people, in every step of the way. And that's the way you win. I mean,
yeah. And when our 3 collectives,
coaches, and you got to have the best.
Yeah. And when our 3 collectives combined have raised about $7 million, and then
That's
it takes
ridiculous to me.
I know the numbers.
When they need to build a new building, they collect 50 times that in no time. Time. So something is not right, in my opinion. Something's wrong somewhere.
They better get on the horse, man. Because if a really good safety costs $2.5 million and we only got 7 of it, then you better giddy up. Yeah. Any final thoughts? Camp's going on. I know you don't care about training camp, but I mean, Kyle McCord, obviously.
The QB issue is really, I think McCord is going to be the guy, but I really like Devin Brown so much.
I do too.
I'm not thinking it's a slam dunk. It may be. And then that O-line. I mean, I think I think it's the key to the team. And I can't name the starters. I don't think Ryan Day can. I don't think Justin Fry can. Well, I think everybody liked last year better. DeJuan Paris, Donnie, Whitwer, Matthew Joe. Oh, we feel good. Yeah, we got our guys. Well,
CJ.
Not that way this year. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what I'm looking at. Just anything I can glean from what people are saying about the QB and the O-line. I mean, because, man, I don't know. A lot of coin flips there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when Jimmy Simmons, the kid from San Diego State is starting off with the 3rd string, like.
Isn't his name Josh? What's with the
Well, his name's Josh. Well, Jimmy, that's what everyone says that he likes to be called.
Oh, he wants to be called
Jimmy.
Okay.
He likes to be called Jimmy. So, it's like, I know you're William Greene, but I call you Bill.
Why wasn't he called Jimmy from the time he was a freshman at San Diego State? Like,
I don't know, but like Ryan Day calls him Jimmy. I mean, yeah, but he's 3rd string right now, so Ryan Day might forget his name unless he jimmies up a little bit. But Was that surprising to you that he started with the threes? Because, like, if we brought in Corey Stringer in the transfer portal at right tackle, he ain't starting with the threes now. Like, I mean, that kind of raised an eyebrow to me, but I don't know.
They don't have Davison Igmanoson as a starter, and he's their best defensive back.
Yeah, but he's running with the ones a lot right now in camp.
Yeah, so what they list him at, that doesn't mean anything. The real depth chart comes when they run on the field for Indiana. That's when the real depth chart is established.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't get too hepped up in that too much about who's – because like you say, Igmanoson, there's no way he's not on the field on this defense. I don't care if he's not listed as a starter. Maybe they're throwing Hancock a bone by listing Hancock as a starter. We'll see. But we'll see. If they were on the field for Indiana, we get the depth chart.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, this has been fun. Any closing words as we shut the door on KJ Bolden and we move on to week 2 of training camp?
Well, Edric Houston's got a decision coming up here. Brandon Baker, I don't think, has the decision date, and I'm being told that Texas is making a huge, huge push for Brandon Baker. Ooh. And them boys got NIL money.
Oh yeah,
them boys got money. So we'll see. I still think Ohio State's going to get him. If it's Ohio State versus Oregon, I think Ohio State wins that battle, just because of the O-line coaches. Oregon's got an O-line coach that's really been a D1 O-line coach as long as I have.
Yeah.
And Ohio State has Justin Fry, who has a prior relationship. So I think Ohio State wins that one. But now when you throw Texas in the mix, we got to see if he's still got official visits he could take if he wants to.
Yeah.
So that one could go a while, Brandon Baker's. So Houston coming up soon, and then Baker, who knows? They need those two guys. They need both of those guys.
Bad. Really bad.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to wrap this, Bank. Appreciate you, brother. As always, we have Bill the Bank Greene. He is on BuckeyeScoop.com. He had a huge column today. It was fantastic. So got to tune in. The Bank brings the heat. He's got all the inside information and all the craziness that is recruiting in 2023. So again, appreciate you guys as always. There's a little doubleheader tonight. All you guys that tuned in for both, thank you. Thank you to all the regulars. If you enjoyed this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, and also click that little dinner bell. The little bell will ring when we go live. It'll pop up on your phone, your iPad, MacBook, PC, whatever you got. It'll pop up and say, hey, we're live. You guys can jump in, ask us questions. We appreciate you guys. As always, if you guys need the best companion in the game for football season, it is BuckeyeScoop.com. Our threads are crazy. We have a fantastic gambling thread. We are on a major heater right now, especially in the UFC realm. Big time money. We appreciate you guys. You should jump on there. Appreciate all you new subscribers that have joined. Thank you. We are grinding. We're getting a lot of new people in here, a lot of new voices. The more people that talk on the message boards, the better. We love it. We love it being active, and we love answering my questions. So thank you all. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.